Hello, my name is Dwayne Kimball, owner and founder of KMD 89 VA Claims Consulting. I'm bringing you another educational video as it pertains to the VA disability compensation claims process. And with that being said, I hope everyone is staying safe during this whole coronavirus and self-quarantine, or if you have to go out, just make sure you keep your distance. So with that being said, again, bringing you another VA educational video as it pertains to the VA claims process. And today I am going to be talking about CUEs, clear and unmistakable errors, CUEs. A lot of veterans, they fail to identify what a CUE is, and they go directly to filing an appeal. A lot of people either don't know about CUEs, or they don't know how to identify a CUE, a clear and unmistakable error. And CUEs are found in rating decisions. Okay, that's what I'm going to be talking about today, in rating decisions. And what some examples of those are, say for instance, you receive a positive opinion, you get service connected for something, and they give you a certain effective date. And you've heard me talk about one of the CUEs that I found in one of my rating decisions. And you get service connected for a condition, and they grant an effective date, but that effective date is incorrect. So when you file that CUE, you have to state where the CUE is and identify and explain the rating specialist error. Okay, that's very important. So before we get started, I want to read one of the regulations that I'm going to provide. Three CUE regulations. There's more, but I'm only going to provide three, and I'm going to list those in the description section of this video. So one of those regulations that I'm going to list is identifying a CUE, and this is from the M21 VA regulation, and I'm just going to read it verbatim. So the topic of this regulation is identifying a CUE, and it states a CUE will fall into one or more of the following categories. Number one, the decision maker failed to apply or incorrectly apply the appropriate laws or regulations. The decision maker overlooked material facts of record, or the decision maker failed to follow a procedural directive that involved a sustainable rule. Okay, so for a lot of people, the regulation may be confusing. So I'm going to give you some examples of some CUEs. Okay, and first, remember, a CUE is not only in a rating, it cannot only be found in a rating decision that denied benefits, it can also be found in a rating decision that granted benefits. Okay, so you have a rating decision that denied some benefits and a rating decision that granted some benefits. A CUE can be found in either one. Okay, again, you have to be able to identify them. And in some of my other videos, one of the suggestions I mentioned to veterans is, when you receive a rating decision, take it, sit down somewhere, take 30 minutes or an hour, however long that rating decision is, read it again, make some notes, look at the evidence listed that the rating specialist stated that they reviewed. Look at decision, look at the effective dates. It's a variety of things that you're looking for, because you want to make sure that everything is correct. And even the percentage that you were granted, was it the correct percentage? How do you know if it was the correct percentage used? One is getting the diagnostic code associated with that service-connected condition and looking up the criteria of why that percentage was given. And when you look at the criteria for that particular, let's say for instance 10% for the back, you want to have a copy of that exam as well, okay? Because you want to see exactly what the doctor wrote and what's on that exam. Does it meet the criteria for that service-connected condition under that diagnostic code that was assigned, okay? So definitely keep that in mind. Rating specialists cannot do a rating decision denying some conditions, confirming and continuing some conditions due to, let's say, you submitted new material evidence and they take issue with it and they confirm to continue it, and then they defer to other issues. You can't do that. You can't send that veteran all that negative information, okay? So when you get a rating decision, there's some things that specifically that, you want to look at. Now, let's just look at the rating decision that granted benefits, okay? Like I said, in some of my previous videos, I talked about I received rating decisions and I saw multiple errors, CUEs that I had to call, okay? So they grant a benefit and have the incorrect effective date, So you can look in the evidence section and see when when the VA received certain information. Then you look in the narrative to see why they granted that particular effective date, okay? And if the effective date is incorrect, even though they granted the benefit, that is a CUE, okay? Some other examples, let's just say a veteran is service-connected, they service-connected individual unemployability. When you service-connect when individual unemployability is service-connected, two things need to happen. One, the rating specialists have to grant the Chapter 35 benefits, which is the permanent and total evaluation, or they have to schedule a routine future for one of the conditions that they're service-connecting individual unemployability for. If neither one of those two are taken issue with, then that's an error. So you might ask yourself, well, if the rating specialist assigned a routine future exam on one of those conditions, how do you know? In that narrative section of that rating decision for that particular condition, there will be a sentence and it will begin something like this: since there's a likelihood of improvement. If you ever see that in a rating decision, that means the rating specialist thinks that condition is going to get better and they're scheduling a routine future anywhere from 6 to 24 months for you to go in and get reevaluated to see if that condition did actually get better or if it actually got worse, okay? But they're looking to see if it was improved. Now, there's several other factors that you could call CUEs on, everything from effective dates, the incorrect percentage being granted, if the rating specialist confirmed to continue a condition that was previously denied, that you came back in and you wanted the VA to take another look at it, you want to reopen it, which is a supplemental claim, and you submitted new material evidence and you were treated in service for that condition and they didn't schedule a compensation and pension exam, that's an error. Okay, so as long as you met all those qualifications to get that comp and pen exam and they still deny it and you submitted new material evidence, that is an error. So that rises to the level of a CUE. So all this boils down to is you have to be educated. You have to be educated on the regulation. You have to have an understanding of identifying what a CUE is. What is a CUE, a clearing unmistakable error, and being able to identify it. If you don't understand or can identify it, and you have a representative or somebody you trust to look at that rating decision, say, hey, I got this rating decision, and I think there are some errors. So be able to talk to what those errors are, so they can look at it to see if it is actually a CUE or rises to the level of a CUE. And also, I just want to share, when I was a rating specialist, I remember doing a rating, and later on the vet came in and claimed something else, and I looked at the previous rating, and I was like, man, what was this rater thinking? What was going on and in their mind? And I'm fussing and everything, and I said, you know what, this is ridiculous. What was this rating specialist thinking? I go and I look at the rating code sheet for the initials of the person that completed the rating, and it was me. Then I spent the next 30 minutes trying to figure out what was I thinking when I completed this rating? Okay, so understand, I'm not bashing rating specialists or anything like that. You have to understand, these rating specialists are under a tremendous amount of pressure to pump out ratings, pump out ratings, pump out ratings to get decisions to vets, and sometimes that human factor takes over, and you start running 100 miles a minute, going really, really fast. And when that happens, it's bound that you may make a mistake, or the rating specialist may make a mistake. So by no means am I bashing the rating specialist. I know personally that they're under a tremendous amount of stress to get these ratings out to the veteran, and also make sure that that they're right. So there's a human factor that comes into play. And also, if you have a representative, whether it be DAV, VFW, Purple Heart Association, FDVA, or whatever organization is representing you, they're supposed to review that rating to make sure that it was done correctly, and they have 48 hours to do that. Now, I know right before I left the VA asked them to waive that so they can just send it right to the veteran. So what that meant, they weren't looking at them. I don't know where that stands now. Before claims went paperless, and people, veterans are now having an electronic claim folder. Everything was done by paper. So in previous videos you saw, even in the last video, I showed my my rating decision. Okay, not my rating decision, my claims file. So when a rating specialist finished that with that rating, they had to print a draft one, set it on a shelf under one of the DAVs on one of the, we had a shelf that had names for the different representative organizations, veteran service organizations, and we had to set that rating decision on there, and then someone from that organization would come and sit down and look at that rating decision, go through it, and make sure that everything was okay, and then they would sign off on it saying, yep, I agree with your decision, go ahead and send it to the veteran. Now, I always wondered about that process, because what if it took me all day, 8 hours, to complete this rating? The veteran sent in maybe 30 pieces of evidence that I had to review to make a decision on 50 conditions that this particular veteran claimed. How long do you think it should take somebody to review that to make sure that it's right? And I would say, my answer to that, I would say it depends. It depends on the individual and their knowledge of the VA system. If I had to do it, I would be looking at, one, okay, what was the effective date? Did the veteran claim all these conditions on the same claim form? If so, the effective date, is going to be pretty much straightforward. And then I would immediately go and I would look at the different evaluations that was signed based on the information from the comp and pen exams. And that could take some time, because I completed a rating decision where there was like 10 or 15 exams, so that takes time to go through and look at all that. And do the VSOs have time to do it? I'm pretty sure some of the smaller organizations do that may not have as many vets that they're representing, but some of the large ones, I don't know. It's kind of tricky. I would hope that they would do the due diligence to make sure they went through and make sure that everything was okay. I've completed rating decisions that were incorrect, signed off by the veteran service organizations, and then for some reason I touched that claim again, and I saw error that I committed, and I had to call a CUE on myself. Okay, so whenever you have the human factor that comes into play, there's always a small chance of an error happening. I can't remember anyone that I work with at the VA that just purposely, flat out, denied a veteran when they should have granted. Well, I'll take that back. One time there was one time that I disagreed with a rating specialist, and I think it was kind of really apparent that he was just got caught up in his personal feelings and denied the vet and did everything that in their power to deny him, which was the wrong thing to do. Okay, so with that being said, just make sure that you understand what a clear and unmistakable error is. I'm going to leave the 3 ways I discussed how to identify clear and unmistakable error, and then I'm going to leave 2 other regulations that talks about CUEs as well. And in all my videos, I list regulations. Just don't take that the regulations that I list, those are the only regulations. I'll go through the VA's website and I'll pull certain regulations pertaining to the particular subject matter that I'm speaking about and pick the important ones that I think that's important for that subject matter that I'm speaking to in that particular context. So there could be, well, not could be, there are other regulations that talk about CUEs, but I just wanted to get the ones I felt that were the most important and that you could possibly understand a little bit better. So again, when you get that rating decision, look at it. Spend the time, read it. Even if it's a grant or a denial, a CUE can be in either one, okay? Just don't think, oh, I got this grant, I got this large retro, and everything is in here is correct. That can be far from the truth. You want to make sure that you understand, and it starts with being educated on things that, that I'm talking about. So just keep that in mind. Like I said in some past videos, I talked about some CUEs I found in my rating decisions. And, if I just would have, just said, okay, I got the grant, it's all done with, it had actually had a big impact on my claim. So just keep in mind, again, rating specialists, they're on a quota and they're stressed trying to pump out as many rating decisions as they can. And you want to make sure with stuff that you send in, have it in an orderly manner. Have it, just don't be sending in 50 or 100 pages of stuff and, oh, they're supposed to go through and look at it, and, you could miss something. It's like, you're looking at a needle in a haystack, but when you get that rating decision, everything should be right. But unfortunately, not all the time it is correct. So with that being said, please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this video. Please subscribe, like the video, and hit that notification button so you can get notified of videos when they upload a new video. So please visit my website. It's kmd89.com. That's kmd89.com. And I'll leave my website down in the link to my website down in the description. So again, thank you for your service and thank you for watching this video, and please, everyone, be safe. Thank you.